Hey, good afternoon, and welcome to the VZWBuzz recap. This chat is to help us summarize for you what happened during the very busy Twitter chat that precedes this recap. And today I'm thrilled to have Robyn Wright from at Robyn's World. You all know her and love her. Hi, Robyn.
Hi, everybody. How are you today?
And what we're going to talk about is just, give you some ideas on parenting, growing up digital, but I also wanted to make sure that you remember, this being Mother's Day weekend, that Verizon Hope Line is a program to help us fight domestic violence. If you go to verizonwireless.com/hopeline, you'll be able to get to the page. Tells you all about the program. We have, at this point, and the duration of this, collected almost 10.8 million devices. When you donate a device, it goes to a very good cause, and sometimes even directly to provide women or other victims the connection, the lifeline that they need to stay in touch with loved ones and still be safe. So I don't want to forget us to remind you of the Hope Line program by Verizon Wireless, who is our sponsor on these recaps, and be sure to check it out and pass it on to anybody you think might need it. So today we're going to give away a Verizon Wireless Kyocera Elite. I'm going to let Robyn tell you how her husband happens to have one, how he uses it. Right, Robyn? Just tell us how Brad uses it.
Yes, well, this phone is, I don't know if they call it water resistant or waterproof, but it can go under the water and still work. And he goes out on the lake fishing and has dropped his phone in the water. He's gotten caught in downpours and his phone's got soaking wet and ruined many phones before. So now it's actually his backup phone, and he uses a Galaxy, which he loves too, but he takes the SIM card out and puts it in the Hydro Elite from Kyocera when he goes out on the lake now, so that way he's waterproof. If he drops it in the lake, he's good. He can grab it real quick and it'll still work. So.
Yeah, it's a great phone. I do remember RJ Frasca. He's in Florida. He's on our wonderful team of influencers, and he did the test. He actually wanted to make sure this worked, and he put the phone in a bucket of water and then dialed it. And the phone rang perfectly. In fact, I think that's a YouTube video somewhere. I have to find it for you guys, but it does work.
Yeah, my husband put it underwater at work and freaked all the guys out in his, that were in the lunchroom with him, and they're like, oh, and he's like, no, look, see, it works. So.
Yeah, so it's good for pranks also. So we're going to wait the Kyocera today. Misty's fine. Excuse me?
It's a good phone too. It's a nice Android-based phone, and other than the waterproof part, it's just a great phone too.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I know it feels really nice to the hand. And the way we're going to pick the winner is we're going to pick the one with the best questions. It's very hard because really all your questions are great. And this is why we leave that task to Misty, who is our fabulous producer. She's our behind-the-scenes producer, which makes sure this broadcast is flawless, thanks to her. So she's going to pick the winner of the Kyocera at the end of the chat in the next 15 minutes or so. So what we wanted to make sure is we try to answer some of your questions, particularly on the chat. I know, Robyn, as you know, since you and I started doing this about 4 years ago, still the #1 question we get asked is, what's the right age for a child to have his or her first smartphone? And it's something that doesn't change no matter what decade we live in. What is your top 3 nuggets of advice for that?
So I'm gonna give a number because that's what people want to start with, and the average number is about 13, it seems, although it seems to be creeping down just a little bit these days. But that being said, you really have to look at your family and your child. So if you guys are always together and you're not doing a lot of extra stuff in that, do they really need a phone? I mean, what's the point of it? If your child is in lots of activities after school on the weekends and they're out here and there and your family is a little more scattered, then your child might need one a little bit earlier. And you also have to look at the level that your child is at, how responsible they are, how do you think they'll be safe with the phone? How well will they comprehend the rules that you're going to set up? So really, I think that is one of the most important things, is judging your family life and your child and how well they can handle it. But it's tween, early teen is the general range that most people go for a phone.
Yeah, I have to tell you, it's a wonderful feeling as a parent if your child spends any time on his or her own, starts sometimes around middle school, or unless you have a latchkey kid, walks to and from school. That's to me one of the, good reasons for a phone. But I don't really think that you want to do this as a privilege. You don't want to say to a child, you've earned the right to a phone. I think that starts a whole slippery slope on things that they maybe later feel a little bit more entitled to. What are you going to do next? Is it a tablet? Is it a laptop? Where do you stop? And so use it as a utility, and definitely please don't do it in elementary school. A lot of parents get very upset when they see fifth graders walking around with iPhones. It's not a good thing. Okay, one of the other things we were talking about is this notion of screen time. We need to throw out that word, please. I know early on in the chats we used to talk a lot about, manage the screen time, not too much screen time, when in fact that whole study about the American Academy of Pediatrics and 2 hours, no more, for kids really was a study based on obesity. It was an obesity study. And now screens are used so much for work and for schoolwork. I know my daughter in 9th grade was recently given extra credit for doing a project on Vine. And so you want to foster the use of screens, but not blanket consider all screens to be limited by time. And this is kind of a new concept. I know we've talked a lot about limited screen time, but I think that's really properly being debunked. And I want to take some of the questions. Robyn, what do you think about that?
I agree with you that you can't just box it all in and say this much time is allowed, because kids today, it's so incorporated into their lives from all different aspects, at TV, at computers, tablets, smartphones, gaming, and it's in school, it's after school, it's activities, so it's really incorporated in there. And I think where you need to focus is let them use it for the things they need to, for their education, for particular activities in that they're learning from that. But just that kind of just random loose time, I think that's the one you might need to confine just a little bit more still. And so if they're playing a video game on Xbox, don't let them play for 8 hours all day long. And the summer is coming up, and I think that's important, is that they have a wide range of use of it to explore it. Don't let them focus in on one thing. And I think that's where maybe in the obesity study even too, that they sat right there in front of one thing for the longest time. We're very mobile now. They can take them out on the go and do things that are active with them actually now. So I think you just have to look at what they're doing on it, and there's certain things that you want to limit that time on. And when they go to bed, that's another one. The devices need to go out of their rooms.
Yeah, and the notion is that you want to focus on behavior, exactly right. What are they doing? So it's not the screen. Because as you know, and any parent out there will tell you, every time you go, you've been in front of the screen for too long, you get this roll of the eye. It's not a specific enough conversation when somebody's, say, gaming for 10 hours. Of course, that's like not very positive behavior. Focus on the behavior. Focus on that, not focus on the platform per se, because it's a holistic approach to balancing life. I know Tommy Clifford is pointing out it's not the use of screens, it's the abuse of screens, it's the abuse of anything. So you want to create an environment at home that is not going to foster the abuse of anything. Right? I mean, maybe sometimes you can't get a child to come in from outside to do his homework. So it's not just the way, it is the behavior that you want to focus on as a parent. And particularly as it comes into tech, because taking away screens and taking away privileges can actually hinder a child's ability to, stay competitive in the classroom, to be able to do projects, to explore, and oftentimes you just want to guide that energy into more creative endeavors, right? So one of the projects I want to suggest for this weekend is get the kids to teach grandma and grandpa how to get online, how to maneuver a tablet, how does it work with the touch screen. And also another great project, if grandpa or grandma are not necessarily physically around you, is to take a lot of pictures of the weekend and then create a project, create a video together. There's so many great apps. I love Animoto, Animoto, and it helps you put all these great shots into a wonderful video. They add the music. You almost don't have to do anything. And so, get kids to be creative about it and have you be part of that behavior as opposed to the one that comes in to limit and turn off the screen.
And I would add to that, not just grandmas and grandpas, parents, your own parents and that too, because some of us, so my parents, are older. Taylor, my son, may or may not be with us on Mother's Day. Who knows? But my dad especially is just learning things like Facebook and that. And what I've found with him is he learns best if I teach him one good thing each time I visit. Just one. If I overload him, he just he gets a little flustered with it. But so take the time to explain to your older parents and teach them how to use tools on there even too. Like my mom, her site is going, and so I've taught her about using the voice technology on her Samsung phone, and that she can just tell Google, hey Google, where is this or whatever, and she had no idea. So teach anybody, anybody in your family this weekend about those things. So whether they're old or young, or let the kids teach you. Even if you have young kids, or if you're not very tech savvy, if you're just new to all this, your kids might know more than you already.
Yeah, there's a question from Rock Climber 37. I really love this question. It's what are the ways to control what your child sees online when they're using their mobile phone? And I've often said it 100 times, and it's so important. If you do one thing, I know Verizon has family base, find the right filters for your child on his mobile device, and that is going to protect him from inappropriate content. So, Robyn, what is your advice as far as also filters?
I think with filters, you have to, like you said, you have to find what works best for you and the devices that you all own, because there's different things. So Windows phones have a little bit different control sets than iPhones, than Android phones. But then there's third-party apps that you can get as well to help you with that. And then there's also, at the level of your Wi-Fi that's coming into your own home, you can control, and block whole levels of things for your entire home. But you need to remember that your children take mobile devices out and about with them, and they may have access to the internet in other places. So I suggest that you have layers of protection, and then you need to learn how to use the tools. Most parental control apps and programs have forums that you can go to and look for information and help on it. No parental control is foolproof. Trust me, I have a very tech-savvy teenager that I raised, and he could promptly get through just about anything I put on there. Luckily, we had a lot of conversations too. So that is always, conversations, open dialogue with your kids is always the best parental control you're ever going to have, to teach them what you expect of them and what you think is right and wrong.
Yeah, it's any one single tool, filters are going to work for a while, obviously. But there's 3 C's to think about. It's content, it's conduct, and contact. And so think about it in those terms. And when you have a conversation, to me, very important is content, particularly when they start out, because you don't want to have to explain things before they're ready to hear what images they may have seen or conversations they may have seen. Contact is important because understanding strangers, and why is it that sometimes it's okay to friend strangers online when we would never let them do this in the playground. So try to make sure that you're consistent in your online and your offline rules. But the idea of content, contact by strangers in particular, and then conduct, right? What do you post? What do you say? What kind of person are you online? And one of the great conversation starters, if you have a teen or a tween, even if they have, yeah, I don't know, if they have an Instagram account or one of those platforms that they love to enjoy, is find out what kind of audience they have. You know, who are the people that friend them? Is it an Instagram or an Instabrag? You know, how do people in their circle use it? It's a very interesting conversation because it's not what you and I do on Instagram, right, Robyn?
Exactly, and that was there was something in the chat today. You know, people talking about Facebook and that, and the way your teenagers, your older teenagers that are on Facebook and using or Instagram or Tumblr is going to be different than you as an adult, and you may see something that actually is, you know, it throws up a flag for you and go, wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? And it comes to find out it's a lyric to a song that they're posting, and their friends all know what that means, but you don't. And you have to kind of, you have to look at it and kind of learn their language and their use of these tools and to understand it. So don't be afraid to ask them, what does that mean? What is that, you know, and look and see what their friends are posting too, and you'll get an idea that, okay, this is the realm, and I'm okay with this now that I understand what it is. Fear of the unknown is one of our hardest things to get over in parenting.
Yeah, I kind of like, too, for younger kids, the Windows phones, because they do have, if you're using it, they do have a great, very walled-in, safe environment, which you can use to, it's called Kids Corner. And not only are these phones, you know, really great on the touch, but you can hand over your phone in Kids Corner to your child, and they can play safely with just the apps you want them to play with, and access only the things that you want them to access. So don't just hand over your phone. There are many horror stories about what kids have found in parents' phones, not because parents have done horrible things, but just because they Google things or, you know, unfiltered information. And then that coupled with the idea that you want to raise a child that feels trusted and respected, so that he or she can make really good decisions online. I do not advocate monitoring software, spyware. It offends me, actually. I think that you can be, you know, a really good parent, keep your child safe. If your child, you don't need to track her every move or his or her every single conversation. Imagine how we would have felt if our parents were listening on the other end of the phone when we were still using those phones. And I know maybe it happened, but think of it in the same terms. And yes, if you want to track where the phone is, there are many apps that will allow you to say, okay, there's the phone, in case you haven't heard from your child. Of course you want to know that. But this idea of monitoring their every move is really not necessary if your child is a well-adjusted child, if they're, you know, meeting the school obligations, and just, you know, you don't have to worry too much about kids that are not at risk, of course.
I think that, you know, like we said, having those conversations and talking to them and you know, being that involved parent, it helps eliminate that need to feel like you have to spy on them, and be open with them that, you know, yes, I can see these things about what you're doing online, and I expect to, you know, be able to look at your Facebook page or whatever it is. And being open like that is the way to go. There are extreme cases, like you said, if kids are having some issues, or if, you know, you suspect some certain things, that you may have to kind of go behind the scenes and take a look. But those are the extreme cases. You don't have to start out that way as a parent at all. You know, be trusting in your children and let them trust you. And it's only in extreme cases those tools are out there if you need them, if you have a problem.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing that I find, you know, sort of an eternal truth and good advice, perhaps. Say you have a teen and they start with this whole "you don't trust me" conversation. When that starts, you want to turn this around a little bit and say, no, you need to trust me, that I'm the adult here, and that I know what is best for you as far as going to bed without your devices. A very important rule: do not let your child sleep in his or her bedroom with any electronics. It's just bad all around. It's bad physically, it's bad mentally. They can't help themselves. They're going to play with it. It's very, very anti everything you want them to do. You want them to sleep. And kids these days aren't getting enough sleep. And so please think about that when you establish your rules. And if that's an argument, say, trust me, I know what's best for you still while you're in this house and under my roof. No, not really. But you know what I mean. It's
true, though. It is. My friend doesn't live with us anymore. And one of the reasons is that he didn't like some of my very relaxed rules. And that was, it is part of it. That's our job as a parent to help them learn. And those were they learn, they feel more comforted with guidelines and to know that we're looking out for them than being their friend and letting them do whatever they want.
Yeah. And then give them some latitude, just like our parents every so often go to the mall on our own when we were younger, things like that. It's the same thing with technology. You can set settings. We've talked about how to establish restriction settings on many of the hardware that you can purchase. All the iOS devices on Apple have restriction settings. They're very restrictive, though, and so they're usually really good for the younger crowd, which you don't want to give an iPhone to. So to me, it's not ideal because a tween or a teen is going to figure out a way around those restrictions fairly easily. But and really use the technology. I like Family Base. I love the fact that the filters are free on Verizon and that you can buy for the additional services of Family Base if you would like. It's $5 a month, I know. I use it. But try to couple that always with getting into it with them, right? Find great websites, do projects, play games. Just get into it. Let them teach you why they like the sites they like, why they like the games that they like. Who knows, you might get into them. Do you play games, Robyn, with T?
I did. So we did. We started out, one of his first ones was not Minecraft. Oh, now I can't think of it, of course. But it's a very popular online game. That was his first MMORPG. And, my husband and I would go on with him to start with when he played. And we actually liked the game. And then as he got older, my husband and him both got into World of Warcraft really big for a while. And that was, it was time that they played together and they really enjoyed it. And Taylor still talks about those things and that. So, and now even Words with Friends, he's not there, but I can play Words with Friends with him and text with him in it and things like that. So I agree with you, finding those fun things to do, encouraging them to use it. If your child is really good at technology but has trouble on paper so much, find ways that they can use their technology in school even. That was one of T's things, is that he struggled in some ways, but he was excellent at technology, and so his teachers were able to adapt for him, and he was able to do a lot of projects, and really he excelled in that, and it made him very proud of himself. And so I think anything you can do to foster their love of something, whether it's the technology itself or using the technology for the love of something else, to find information, to learn how to do it, to connect with experts in it and things like that. That's the thing, is you have to learn to use the technology to improve and better and engage their lives.
Yeah. Yes, so funny. Kathleen the Cosmo. I love Kathleen. You have met her, right, Robyn? Yeah.
Of course, yes, I've met Kathleen. Hi, Kathleen.
She says, under my roof, my rules apply. It's true, we've all heard it. Definitely be consistent with your rules and, obviously try to stick to them. And one more thing, I posted on Facebook this morning, I had a conversation, I was listening to people talking about, you can stream things online and it's so easy, you just go to these sites and that sites. So have a conversation about what is theft. We would not encourage our children to go and shoplift at a store. So have a conversation about piracy, what it is and how it hurts real average people. It's not just, it's this big Hollywood company, they can afford it.
Right.
I about that too.
Yeah, I agree. Digital citizenship is something, if you Google that or Bing it, You'll find a lot of resources about helping your kids learn that. And that's something that schools are starting to teach a little bit more in their computer classes as well, to learn to be good digital citizens, and that includes piracy and not hacking things and good stuff like that.
Yeah, it comes under conduct, right? So the 3 C's, again, content, contact, and conduct.
I love it.
Think about those 3 whenever you want to have a conversation and show your child some examples. So any question we didn't get to, we are going to get to, I promise you. And if you have any more questions later on, you can always go to Facebook/TheOnlineMom, and all of us are there always answering questions, anything that you might need. As somebody asked about a tutorial, for older parents, which probably means, if you're not that versed on the lingo. We post acronyms. We're going to post a dictionary soon, one of the most commonly used acronyms that kids are using, like sick. Isn't that sick, Mom? Which is good. And things like that, not just the tech ones, but the most common ones. So we are going to find a winner, and I think Misty is going to post it for us. Yes. So our winner is at VZWBuzz. Congratulations. You asked us about parental control, so yay. Robyn?
Yes.
You were saying something?
Oh, I was saying yay. I was applauding that she won the Kyocera. She'll really like that, I'm sure. So.
Yes, it's a proud San Francisco Bay Area native, so we're going to ship this guy to you. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and thank you so much, Robyn, for all your great sage advice, and to Marty and Misty, our wonderful producers in the background. Thank you so much.
And can we say Happy Mother's Day to everyone who's celebrating this week? If your mom is not with you anymore or not near you, you have thoughts and wonderful memories. For those who don't have a relationship with a mom, look to someone else who is like a mom to you and express your gratitude towards them this weekend.
Yes, the godmothers count. Godmothers, aunts, anybody.
Uncles, dads who raised you, it's okay. Dad can be a mom on Sunday. It's all right.
Yes, we can always elevate dads to the mom category, at least for a day.
Yes.
We can do that.
Anybody who gives you that love and support that you need is someone to celebrate on Mother's Day.
Yes, have a wonderful Mother's Day, everyone, and thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.